All right, so you know why you're here, right? You're tuning into the deep dive because you want to get right to it, you want to get the essential information, you want it fast.
That's right.
And today we are laser focused on Bitcoin.
Yes, we are.
Specifically the recent buzz.
Big buzz.
Yeah, and potential big moves coming out of the US government and other major players.
Major players.
We've been digging through I think a really insightful Swan Bitcoin YouTube discussion
Yeah.
titled Bitcoin's Biggest Catalyst Yet, What Saylor and BlackRock Know.
That's a great title.
Yeah.
Very catchy.
Yeah. And so, think of this as your express lane to understanding what the experts are saying without having to spend hours, watching this yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, we're gonna go deep, but we're gonna try to synthesize all the information and all the good stuff in this discussion for you, the listener.
Yeah. And so our mission is simple: extract the crucial insights.
The meat.
Yeah, those aha moments that will bring you right up to speed on the current Bitcoin landscape and what might be on the horizon.
It's a good mission.
Yeah,
The Schwann Bitcoin discussion offers a wealth of expert perspectives.
definitely.
And for you, our listener, we're gonna synthesize all of that down to the most critical takeaways. We'll be exploring what could be a historically significant buying opportunity.
Ooh,
This fascinating idea of a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve.
wow.
And how all of this fits into the bigger picture of global economics and geopolitics.
Love it.
Big stuff.
It's huge, yeah. All right, let's jump right in.
All right?
One of the most striking claims from the discussion was whether now represents the best risk-adjusted time to buy Bitcoin ever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty bold statement to kick things off with.
Yeah. Bold statement for sure. But I think the arguments are pretty compelling.
Okay.
When you look at recent developments.
Okay.
Consider the approval of Bitcoin spot ETFs.
Huge.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a monumental shift.
Totally.
Opening up Bitcoin to a massive influx of potential capital from traditional investors.
Yeah.
Who previously couldn't easily access it. And you've got...
Well, and to add on to that, you've got these financial powerhouses like BlackRock actively marketing Bitcoin, which brings, a new level of mainstream awareness.
Totally.
And perceived legitimacy,
Yeah, brings that Wall Street feel to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the infrastructure is finally being built, for this wider adoption. And then there's Michael Saylor.
Oh, yes.
Who seems more bullish than ever.
Yeah, never a bigger Bitcoin bull than Michael Saylor.
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day.
We'll reach his level.
But so what is he doing?
Saylor and MicroStrategy are doubling down on their Bitcoin strategy, continuing their aggressive accumulation.
Okay.
They're reportedly looking to raise another significant sum.
Like, how much are we talking about here?
Around $2 billion was mentioned.
Wow.
With the ambitious goal of holding 1 million Bitcoin.
Oh, my goodness.
1 million Bitcoin.
1 million Bitcoin.
That level of conviction from a publicly traded company and a well-known figure, it really sends a powerful signal.
It does.
It also raises the possibility that other corporations might start to see Bitcoin as a strategic treasury asset.
Okay, so like they're following Saylor's lead.
Following Saylor's lead.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so a lot of factors pointing upwards. But the discussion also brought up some interesting historical comparisons.
Oh.
Challenging whether now is truly the absolute best time.
Okay.
Yeah, this is where we gain some valuable perspective.
Love perspective.
One of the commentators on the Swan Bitcoin video raised a very insightful point about October 2023.
Okay.
That was when the regulatory winds really started to shift in favor of those Bitcoin ETFs. At that time, Bitcoin was trading in the $30,000 to $40,000 range.
Okay.
And we saw a pretty substantial price increase shortly thereafter. So you could certainly argue that the moment the financialization of Bitcoin through ETFs became much more likely also represented a historically attractive buying opportunity.
I see what you're saying.
It highlights that these major regulatory shifts can be key indicators.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes you think about how these policy changes, act as a kind of green light for broader adoption. And of course, they also briefly mentioned the really deep lows of March 2020.
Oh, yes, March 2020. During the initial panic of the COVID-19 pandemic was another period where Bitcoin's price saw a dramatic drop.
Yeah.
For those with a longer-term conviction in Bitcoin's fundamentals, that period of market-wide fear presented what turned out to be an exceptionally good entry point
Yeah, it really did.
in retrospect.
Yeah, yeah. Total hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it underscores the idea that sometimes the best buying opportunities arise
Yeah.
during times of significant uncertainty.
Yeah, it's hard to buy when everybody's fearful. But that's usually when you want to buy.
Yeah, but what struck me as interesting was the pattern that they pointed out about Bitcoin's price often dipping.
Oh, yeah.
Right after seemingly positive news like the ETF approval, before then rallying.
Right.
It's almost counterintuitive.
Yeah, it is counterintuitive, and it suggests a kind of buy the rumor, sell the news dynamic at play, followed by a longer-term realization of the positive implication.
Oh, okay.
You
So
know?
they kind of front run it, and then it goes down a bit, and then they're like, oh, wait, this is actually good.
Exactly. And the discussion proposed that we might see a similar pattern emerge with the potential announcement of a Strategic Petroleum Reserve, or SPR.
Oh, yeah, the SPR.
Involving Bitcoin.
Okay.
So think of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve as a stockpile of oil held by the U.S. government for national security and economic stability.
Okay, I got it.
The idea here is analogous, a reserve of Bitcoin held for strategic national interest.
I'm with you.
So the thinking is that initial news of such a move might cause a temporary dip, but the long-term impact would likely be very bullish.
I see. Okay, so speaking of the SPR, this really grabbed my attention. A White House official reportedly told crypto industry leaders there should be no limit to the size of a U.S. government strategic Bitcoin reserve.
That's a big statement.
That's a pretty significant statement.
Yeah. I mean, and it gains even more weight when you connect it to a previous statement from the White House. A tweet, if I recall, expressing the goal of the U.S. becoming the Bitcoin superpower of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
These aren't isolated remarks. They seem to indicate a potential paradigm shift.
Totally.
In how the U.S. government views Bitcoin's role in the future.
Yeah, so it begs the question, what about their current Bitcoin holdings?
Yeah.
The discussion mentioned something about assets linked to the Bitfinex hack and the potential implications of that.
So that's a critical point. A significant portion of the U.S. government's current Bitcoin holdings is believed to be derived from the Bitfinex seizures. The concern raised in the discussion is that these seized assets might theoretically be subject to influence from other nations.
I see. Okay.
Right, so like China or something like that.
I gotcha.
So this strengthens the argument that the U.S. needs to proactively acquire a substantial amount of Bitcoin through direct purchase to establish a truly independent and strategically meaningful reserve.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and the sentiment from individuals reportedly involved in these discussions suggests a real enduring interest in raising the size of this holding.
Okay, so if this potential SPR is such a major development, why isn't the market reacting more noticeably? Why isn't this already factored into the price? It feels like huge news that isn't being fully appreciated.
Right, yeah, and the discussion highlighted a couple of key reasons for this perceived disconnect.
I'm all ears.
Firstly, the ongoing volatility and uncertainty in the broader stock market tend to make investors more cautious across all asset classes, including Bitcoin. So like when the stock market is doing crazy stuff, people kind of just like retreat to safety.
Yeah, pull back a little bit.
Exactly. And secondly, and perhaps more fundamentally, there seems to be a degree of disbelief that such a non-traditional move, the U.S. government directly buying Bitcoin, will actually come to fruition.
Totally.
It's such a departure from established norms that many investors aren't pricing it in.
It's like, it's too crazy.
Too crazy.
To even think about. It's like, nah, that'll never happen.
It's like too much of a black swan event.
Yeah.
So the speakers in the discussion even suggested that it's basically 0% priced in.
Oh, wow.
So like literally.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
Wow. Okay. But if it does happen, the reaction could be immediate and substantial, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, how do you think that would play out?
So the expectation is that the moment there are credible reports or announcements of the U.S. government initiating significant Bitcoin purchases, the market would likely react very quickly, leading to a significant upward price adjustment as investors rush to factor this new demand into their valuations.
Okay, so you see that initial announcement and then boom, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah, it'll really turn heads when the
Yeah.
U.S. actually starts buying Bitcoin.
Yeah, and the implications of an SPR go far beyond just a short-term price increase, don't they?
Yeah, for sure.
It feels like it would send a message.
It's a message,
What
yeah.
a message are we talking
So
here?
while the initial purchases would likely have a positive impact on price, the establishment of a strategic Bitcoin reserve, regardless of the initial quantity, would send a powerful signal to the entire world.
Wow.
It would